As far back as I can remember, I dreamt of a normal life. A life filled with normal things. A life where monsters don't live in closets or under the bed. A life where ghosts aren't real. I just wanted to be normal. But that didn't happen. It wasn't meant to be. Since my early 20s, I have experienced profound paranormal events that would change my life. Extreme poltergeist activity, living amongst those that have departed this earth in ways unimaginable. It has affected my loved ones and children with no end in sight. I could hear things, see things, and feel things not of this world. I asked myself if this was a gift or a curse. With the help of my mother and close friends, I emerged a paranormal investigator. Since 2013, I have been on a relentless journey to learn about the paranormal. This is my time to share my journey with you. Welcome to my Paranormal Soapbox. Hello and welcome to my Paranormal Soapbox. I'm your friendly neighborhood ghost hunter, Justin Brown, and we are presenting episode 72, and we will be discussing scrying, which includes crystal balls, mirrors, crystal gazing, and all sorts of other ways that you can focus your subconscious intention to help you with your psychic insight, or psychic sight, rather. But, we're going to have fun with this one. We're going to try to see if we can get some interesting discussions started and maybe get some really fun interaction with you folks. Thanks for joining us tonight. We're going to bring it on over to Missy and Jess. They're still breathing. They look healthy. They look ready to go.
We are ready.
Ready.
Missy, you're so far away from the microphone. I want to hear you super loud and clear.
I'm right here, Justin.
Yeah, okay. Are you girls ready?
Yep.
All right, ladies and gents, you know the drill. If you want to be shouted out, at least say hi. We'll shout you out here in a few minutes. Ask questions. Give us your opinion. We're going to be talking about something that's been around for a while. Scrying is something that Josh Bender wanted me to talk about. He thought it was interesting. You must be pretty curious about it to some extent, so we're going to talk about that this evening. Every time it's put up on the poll, it never gets voted in, so this one's for you, Josh. This one's for you, buddy. The beginning of scrying, I think, started with water. If you are an expert on scrying, correct me if I'm wrong, but pools of water, either wishing, wells or some type of reflection from water is the first form, I think, of scrying. Then it kind of went into crystal balls and mirrors. There's this thing called psychomantiums where you pretty much put a mirror in a dark room. A lot of people use black mirrors. They take a lot of the reflective material away from the mirror so it looks very black, and you can just see a vague reflection in it. People gaze into all kinds of things. The key things are it's got to have some type of reflection to it or some type of way that you can focus on it. And it is a tool for psychomancers or clairvoyance in a way. Okay. Divination is what people usually do when they use scrying tools, but it doesn't have to be. In the occult and the Wiccan community and other communities that deal with witchcraft and everything, there's a lot of openness and a lot of degree of, just your opinion when it comes to these things. But we're just going to talk about what I've researched, what I've heard about, and what I think about it. When it comes to psychic ability and divination and clairvoyance and all that type of stuff, I've never been one to feel like I needed to use a tool to do specific things until recently. I think there is definitely a pro to them. When you have something that you can focus your intent on, or something that you can kind of tailor your belief to, your intent and your thought process to, it helps with the manifestation and the power put into whatever magic or divination you're practicing, right? So if you're using crystals, if you're using herbs, if you're doing, if you're using some sort of physical component to whatever energy work or magic you're doing, it helps a lot. Now, you don't need to. There's a lot of people that do divination and do all the things that involve scrying without the use of scrying tools. It's not necessary, but it does help. And this is what it does from my viewpoint. Any chance that you can get to go into a meditative trance, whether it be to elicit thoughts and information from your subconscious, or get into a altered state of perception, some type of altered state of consciousness where you can kind of tone out all that noise, if you will, of the five senses and allow the sixth sense to come through more clear. You might, you definitely want to get rid of any distractions that you may have. Get a quiet room, maybe do it during a time of day when you're alone, you're not bothered or disturbed by anybody. Maybe you do it at night. Maybe you just got a nice, peaceful place to do it. And you practice either divination or spirit communication, or just some type of meditative practice to where you can tap into the spirit realm, or some type of mindset that will allow you to practice whatever you're practicing, whether it be magical, metaphysical, or what have you. And what I've researched is interesting. I have not actually used any tools to do these things. I'm not huge into it, but I find it fascinating. The history is fascinating. The lore is fascinating. It's definitely something cool to talk about. So I definitely want to know what you guys think, if you've had any experiences doing it. I know we're friends with a lot of people that are into the occult that do use crystal balls and scrying methods. The first one that comes up to me is Holly Mullins and the Southern Gypsies. Every time you go to an event, you see their booth. They got that awesome crystal ball sitting there. And that reminds me, there are other tools of divination that don't fall under scrying in the way that we're talking about tonight. Tarot, oracle cards, and other sorts of things that are used for divination. It may or may not fall under the definition or umbrella of scrying. But if you do these things, let me know if they are considered scrying, because I'm not actually sure about that. But I think the most curious thing for me is mirrors. When I started doing field research, I started to have experiences and reports of hauntings and paranormal happenings dealing with mirrors. And there's this whole belief that spirits can be trapped in mirrors, or mirrors can offer a doorway from the spirit realm to our realm, and vice versa, maybe. This lore is often in fantasy books and fantasy novels. No, not Alice in Wonderland. That's a rabbit hole. Help me think of something in fantasy books that divination. What is that? Snow White, where the witch talks to the mirror. Yeah, that's right. That's the one I'm thinking of. But there's many stories where that is inspired from. When I go to certain houses, I definitely feel like when there's rooms with very prominent mirrors in them, and maybe there's mirrors that are a theme throughout the house. Maybe there's an old mirror that draws my attention. It's interesting to think that mirrors can be somehow involved in any type of paranormal event. I want to know what your opinion on it is, because I really don't understand from a physical standpoint or a scientific standpoint how it's possible. And when you talk about devil's toy boxes, where you got a box lined with mirrors, I do not put any stock in that belief in devil's toy boxes. I've seen a lot of people use them, though. If you've had any success with the Devil's Toy Box, let me know. But I don't want to digress too much. We want to talk about scrying. We want to know what kind of divination you guys do. What have you researched? If you do these things, what do you use? Do you use mirrors? Do you use crystal balls? Is there something else? Like a bowl of water, a reflecting pool, anything like that. I wish I had enough storage space in my brain to stick all kinds of information that I could spew out to you guys tonight, but I just don't. I'm constantly at full capacity. But nonetheless, we're going to talk about it. We'll go over to the Peanut Gallery. We'll do some shout outs real quick. I see that we got at least 15 viewers on the Justin Brown page. Nobody on RU Media. No one loves us on that page yet.
Well, we had Misty Pearl on RU Media. I guess she jumped on and jumped off. Adam was watching, and Eddie Pence was watching.
Oh, they just probably stopped in to see if I'm still breathing.
Yeah. On the Justin Brown page, we have Derek Schreiner, we have Sandy Griffin, we have RJ Murphy, we have Troy Haney, Marilyn, Heather, Christy, Josh, and Valerie are the only ones that have commented as of right now. RJ said, would it be possible to ask for a moment to remember a great friend and co-investigator? We lost him last Saturday evening to a very aggressive form of cancer. His name is Bill Thomas. He was very passionate about the paranormal and continued to investigate right up until the end.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. It's always tough to lose somebody.
Bill's watching.
What's up, Bill?
And I do have one question from Sandy. She said pendulums are a form of scrying, right?
Not necessarily. They could be in a very indirect way, but pendulums are as a form of divination. Like there's certain boards that are used with pendulums to do divination. But scrying is almost, from my opinion and research, is a way to gaze into something to reach an altered state. If you're doing that with a pendulum, then it could fall into that definition, but not to my knowledge. All right, who we got on YouTube's?
Okay, we have Sam Thomas, Mountain View Turning, Ray of Creation, Craig Williams, Scotty Fox, Mothman's on, Travis, Haunted by Haunted, and I think that's it. Ray of Creation sent you a message about this is cool stuff. We had a podcast on Fridays called The 13th Hour, and we were talked about a few things. Don't know if you're open about coming on sometimes. Interface death.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we do. We go on other shows all the time.
Mothman said that he uses a black mirror, and I'm trying to scroll to see his messages. Staring at shiny objects make an optical illusions. Basically, through it can receive messages from subconsciousness. I use black mirrors yet to get a crystal ball. He also says in a darkened room with a candlelight, the shadows play tricks on your eyes, causing your mind to try to figure out the shapes they created. Mm-hmm. It can cause your face to morph and change.
Yeah, and there's also a medical condition I can't remember. Maybe Missy and Derek can help me remember it. When you stare at something for a long time, you tend to hallucinate. Do you remember what that's called?
No, I don't. Not off the top of my head.
Staring
maybe Derek does.
At something for a long time can cause...
Haunted by Haunted said the scariest thing I ever saw was in the mirror was my own reflection.
Me too.
Oh, stop it.
I didn't Google the right thing there. Maybe somebody will Google it and let me know. But yeah, there's an actual term for staring at something. All the really, I'm going to say credible loosely. I know people that do it that really believe that it works. I don't think that if you would ask me for advice on it, I would not. Definitely, I would follow the advice of Mothman Story and a couple others that mentioned it. You don't want to base what you're seeing optically. I think you should use it to get into a trance or a meditative state and allow the inner information, the sixth sense input come in. Now, I know a lot of people that do base what they see from their optical visual patterns, and they'll interpret those visual patterns in their own way. So that is part of it too. But I do believe that. Go ahead.
Sorry. Mothman says, I would say mirror scrying is a form of slight hallucination.
Hallucination?
Thank you. I know I can say the word. It just didn't come out right. Or at least optic illusions.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Val said there is a type of scrying by gazing into someone's eyes. I can't do that one for some reason.
Interesting. That would be awkward, right?
It would be, yeah.
Mothman says you can stare at each other in a darkened room and watch the faces change. That works too.
Yeah, that's the medical condition I'm talking about.
Yeah, he says, go ahead.
What I was going to say is if you stare at something stationary for too long, it'll appear to move, and it's just an optical illusion.
Val said, for me, the easiest scrying is images in fire or in candle wax.
Ooh, fire is pareidolia heaven. But that is a form of scrying. I did not mention that. Thank you for bringing that up. That might be the first. I don't know. I still think water is the first form of scrying, but it could be fire.
I'm not reading Scotty Fox's comment.
I am not seeing it yet.
Oh, it's up a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
You'll laugh at it. I think he was making a joke. And
oh, yeah, it's done past me. I can't scroll on my on OBS.
Good old Scotty Fox.
Craig Williams has joined us. Haunted by Haunted has joined us. Thanks for joining us, guys. We got the crew on here tonight. I'm sorry, what?
I have Heather Knapp and Zachary Horner and Bill Davis.
Awesome.
Is Becky Compton on?
Not that I've seen. She's got a sick puppy, though.
That's right. There you go, Travis. We haven't seen her on yet.
Boob scrying is a thing. I don't know if it's going to bring you any important information, though, other than, less money. I'm trying to think. Is Travis Poe been on?
Yeah, he was just saying, hope Becky is here. We need to learn this for the Belle House.
I'm sorry, Travis. I some of you I can't quite remember. I will remember you this time, I promise.
Mothman, he said he's seen his face turn into a skull. The background I was sitting in turned into a face. My hair turned gray and I faded away into darkness around me.
That's normal.
Yeah, it happens to everybody, right, Justin?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no.
Every time I go to brush my teeth and floss, that happens.
Valerie asked, does Justin, Jess, or Missy use a form of scrying?
I don't.
I don't. I didn't even know what this was, to be honest with you.
You're going to have to read Derek's comment because I can't even pronounce that word.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it either. I'll try to butcher it. Palinopsia? Thanks, buddy. That's the word. When you stare at something that's stationary, it may look like it'll move after a while.
He fucking Googled it. I know he did.
Dan from Supernatural Lost Adventures is on.
Uh-oh.
Everybody's rolling in.
Everyone's almost here.
Edward Kensley is on. He asked what is scrying.
He asked what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much scrying is any object that you can use that you gaze into to get into a meditative or trance-like altered state of consciousness. For the most part, people try to use it to kind of filter out what your 5 normal senses are getting to help bring forward what your 6th sense is getting or can get. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be that, but that is the general definition of scrying. It's a form of divination. You can use it for fortune telling. You can use it for spirit communication. You can use it for anything in between that range of psychic ability.
Anthony just jumped on.
All right, Anthony. I think yesterday, or maybe even the day before, I can't remember, I invited you to the Death Trippers Facebook group for Patreon supporters. So if you want to be in that group, you have to accept the invite to be in there.
Krog Williams wants to know when we're going to do another live stream investigation.
Not for a very long time. We are done filming and done investigating for the year. Maybe something might pop up. We definitely don't. I definitely don't like doing something just because it's Halloween or just because it's October. That's not what we're about. Even though a lot of people get hyped about, it's finally Halloween and so on and so forth. I get it. But we don't generally do anything. Once we've done filming and done investigating, we generally just live stream this stuff. We may do live stream reviews if you want. I can definitely do that. I've been wanting to do a course on, an updated course on all the gear we use and the methods we utilize in paranormal investigation, but I'm just so busy editing the episodes for season 6, I just don't have time. And I'm sorry about that.
Mothman says, let's all go stare at shiny objects in the dark.
Valerie said, I want to know more about crystal ball scrying, as to which type of crystal to use, or if it is depending on the situation, using different crystals for different situations.
I think it's just all preference. I'm sure somebody out there has a guide that says this is good for that and that's good for that. I would use your intuition in what you want to do. There are guides out there. I have not read them. Like I said, I'm not a huge crystal ball or scrying person. I'm just doing this show because Josh wanted me to do the show. He thought it'd be interesting. And so far, there seems to be, at least a decent amount of interest in the subject. If you want me to go online, I can. To pull information offline, but you could do that too. But we can definitely do it on the show. Just let me know.
What's your opinion on purchasing a crystal ball from an antique store?
I definitely think it would be a cool conversation piece. I think they look cool.
Obviously, you have to sage it. How do you, I have no idea.
No,
nothing.
None. Concerning what? Like, why would you do that?
I don't know.
If your house all of a sudden became haunted, maybe.
I really want that one. Hey, Josh, Christmas is coming. Road trip.
Just imagine all the cool photos you can get with crystal balls.
He actually has one. I've tried to use it.
The photo orbs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think I showed you when you were here. Yeah. But this one that is at the antique store, it's huge.
Have you had your eye on it for a while?
Last time I was up in Ohio. And okay. I pouted when I walked by because I wanted it so bad. Just to have it.
Was it high?
I don't remember. I don't think it was a crazy amount.
Val said I would submerge it in black salt for a while and keep it covered when not in use. I have heard that people keep it covered.
That's something that I've heard that as well. Travis says if you use a mirror, should you be concerned with the mirror afterwards, like creating a portal?
A lot of people cover their psychomantiums and their mirrors in crystal balls. A lot of people have, that practice the scrying, do that. Just so you don't, it's almost like not closing a Ouija board in a way. So if you're using a scrying tool to talk to spirits or do any type of divination or any type of magic or occult practice, you might want to consider it.
Can you read Scotty Fox's last comment?
Purpose-built psychomantiums would be up there for a dedicated practitioners of scrying, I would imagine. Yeah. Yeah, I would think it would be cool just to have a little room and have a psychomantium in there, just because it would be, you know, super macabre and creepy and cool to have that. That would be what I'd brush my teeth in it, you know.
Derek said scrying will also cause you to have tunnel vision and block out everything else around you while focusing on the task at hand. Therefore, your brain can play tricks on you and create false positives.
It can, but that's the whole point of doing the scrying, is you're trying to enter a meditative state or an altered state to where, you know, you are trying to tunnel in on something.
This sounds like a total Josh comment, but Bill Davis said, I scry into my microwave when I'm waiting for pizza rolls.
Yeah, he's not alone.
Mothman says, one thing to get into is transparent shiny surfaces or black surfaces. It's a preference, really. Would you rather glaze it into a black void or clear surface? Obsidian, black crystal balls, or clear?
It depends on the person. Like I said, I think it's preference. Whatever gets you there. If you want to stare into something black and make the room dark, or if you want to stare into something a little bit more nicer, brighter, calming, you know, if you can get water to look blue or clear, it's more calming to people. You may feel safer. If you stare into a black mirror and you kind of get like a creepy dark vibe to it, that may not be something you'd want to do. I think it's preference. I don't think there's any rules.
William Bennett says, as far as buying crystal balls for personal use, it has to call to you. You will feel an attraction to it. It is one you will want to get.
Right. I agree with that. Now, there's people out there that believe that there are rules. And if you believe that there are rules, then there you go.
Mothman says he flips his towards the wall when it's not in use.
I've seen a lot of paranormal investigators and researchers use mirrors in their ITC sessions. I did early on when I first started doing spirit box research. I used a mirror, and that was a bad idea. That's all I want to say about that. Unless you pry it out of me.
Prying.
I do believe there's something to mirrors. Sure. I do believe that. Whether there's proof or not, I doubt it. Objective proof. There's something definitely going on there. There's definitely something going on there. And I don't know if it has anything to do with light or how reflections work physically. But I would love to know if there is something to it physically. Go ahead with Edwards.
I know this is off topic, but when I went to one place one time where people were getting hypnotized. I didn't get hypnotized, but what happens when somebody gets hypnotized? What happens?
People who are susceptible to hypnotism are very impressionable people. Not everybody can be hypnotized. I definitely can't be hypnotized. I can be conditioned, especially when I was younger. There's certain things I can be conditioned, but conditioning and being susceptible to hypnotism is two different things. Being hypnotized means that you're allowing yourself to be more susceptible to power of suggestion. Some people are so susceptible to it that you can get them barking like a dog and clucking like a chicken on stage in front of all kinds of people. Some people you can never hypnotize. But if you can get them in a trance-like state, get them calm, get them relaxed, get them into that state of mind, you can suggest things to them and have a very lasting impression and have a lot of influence on them. So hopefully that answers the question.
Hannah and Summer's watching too.
Valerie
What's up, guys?
said, we want to know more, Justin. Tell us why you don't like mirrors.
All right, well, I think around 2014, 2015, I was like, okay, I'm going to dive into the spirit box stuff. So I got a Shack hack. And that's when Radio Shack just stopped selling them, the 587 model. and I hacked it and I started sweeping with it. And I pretty much locked myself in my room with my wife and did spirit box sessions for 6 months straight or more. I used candles, I used mirrors, I used all kinds of things. Did EVP sessions, everything. And after a period of time, the house became crazy. My kids started seeing things. Christy started seeing things. People would come knocking on our doors. People would bang on the walls of our house. They would see shadows, the whole 9 yards, pretty much. And I was like, oh, maybe that's not such a good idea. And one session in particular, I may even have the session up on my YouTube. If you want to go a deep dive on Interface Death's YouTube, you may even find the video where it talks about spirits come across, which may be pareidolia, if you ask me now. But you can be your own judge. Maybe you can do a deep dive on it. I don't even know where the YouTube video is, but I heard voices come across that said that they were talking about Ouija boards. They were talking about coming through the mirror, and it was weird.
Travis asked, do you need to be in complete darkness to scry, or in a mirror, or low light? What have you heard?
Both. I don't think it depends. Whatever gets you into that state of mind, easier. And I think if you need it to be dark to help out, then that'll work. If it doesn't need to be dark, I think it could be done both ways.
Mothman says you all have a black mirror in your pocket. It's called a cell phone.
Yeah.
Gaze into the abyss and see what's waiting for you within your mind.
A lot of YouTube videos will tell you that if this is the most convenient black mirror that everybody has. If you gaze into that reflection, that is essentially a black mirror. And I tell you what, guys, if you're not used to it and you start doing it, it can be freaky. So be very aware of the psychological aspect of doing these types of things.
Your black mirror has big fingerprints all over it.
Did you notice that?
Kelly Spalding's watching.
Eddie Pence said, I believe mirrors can be bad also. Can start portals or something worse.
Yeah, there's definitely tons of history of reports and stories about that. And I can't deny it. It's definitely possible.
Hotman says, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, my psychic gut tells me. Whether if that's something to go off of, that's debatable.
Mothman says, one big thing about mirrors, though that sucks, is you can't make a good video of it unless people want to watch weirdos stare at a mirror. Things you won't be able to catch on camera, obviously.
There was I think a Kindred Spirits video, an episode where there was some type of mirror that they looked into. Help me. Maybe Derek can dig up that episode. I don't know if he watches Kindred Spirits, but I remember watching Kindred Spirits one time, and they sat there and gazed into a mirror with cameras at it, and obviously nothing compelling happened, in my opinion.
Val said, did you destroy the mirror and other items used? I mean, after all the things that were happening to you, did you destroy them?
No. I pretty much cleansed it, and I put it in my closet. And didn't have a problem.
West Storm asked, is there a difference between a new mirror and an antique mirror when it comes to paranormal activity? And Becky just jumped on.
Hi, Becky. Maybe not. The older something is, the more potential haunted it could be. Sure, that makes sense. I think that makes sense, but not necessarily. I don't think anybody knows for sure. Everybody has their own take of it and their own beliefs. I think that is, what we call energy is a blanket term for anything that does spiritual work, whether it be psychokinetic, whether it be psychic ability, whether it be an entity doing something. It's energy, right? So That can be done to a new mirror. It can be done to an old mirror. Spirit attachments tend to be associated with older objects, but not necessarily. Any practitioner of the occult or witchcraft can do anything to any object, despite whether it's old or new. And an entity can, for that matter. What do you think? Does it have to be a new mirror or an old mirror?
I don't think it matters.
It shouldn't, right?
No.
What's Valerie talking about? I believe that you are the conduit and the one in charge of what is allowed and what is not. So if you use these items, it scrolled by too fast.
She said, I believe that you're a conduit and the one in charge of what is allowed in and what is not. So if you use these items in a form of content and content and positivity, then nothing bad should happen, possibly.
Yes, but don't rule out the possibility of being overpowered.
Craig Williams.
I have, Craig. Sorry, I jumped you.
You're fine.
I have, Craig.
I quit. I'm done. I'm out.
You got more. You got Mothman and William Bennett.
She just did the double.
Ducks and deuces.
Ducks and deuces.
All right.
She's in trouble.
Hit me again. Hit me again. With the ducks and deuces. Hit me up.
Oh.
You don't have the lips for that.
Okay, my preference, this is from Mothman. Low lighting, candles, music to mark timing sometimes. Black handheld mirror. Flip it around when finished like an on and off switch just for mentality. Never had a negative experience. William Bennett says mirrors were made differently back in the day, so I can imagine two would work differently, but I don't have much knowledge on mirror magic. I'm having issues reading comments today. More than normal.
It's okay. I understand. Sometimes I, have days to where I struggle to read as well as I normally do.
Hello, Anthony.
He wants to know if you read his comment. He wanted to know if you asked your mom about his question.
Remind me what that was.
I don't know what that was.
Who said that?
Anthony.
Anthony, remind me what you want me to ask my mom. I haven't talked to my mom. The only time I talked to her was through email concerning my oldest son's birth certificate.
And I think everybody needs to do what just Valerie mentioned.
Yep.
Ducks and deuces on Justin's page.
You won't do it.
Watch me do that right now.
You won't do it. The Indian rattle question. Okay. You want me to ask her if she uses Indian rattles? Does anybody else remember the question? Here we go.
I do not.
Anthony, ask me the full question and I will text my mom.
Right now, live on the air. Was the mirror in Beauty and the Beast real? LOL, just joking.
I'm sorry, what?
Supernatural Lost Adventures comment. He said, was the mirror in Beauty and the Beast real?
Well, I think if I remember correctly, that story was based off a story that had maybe like 0.1% of reality based onto it, and the rest of it was all fiction, so probably not.
Summer wants to know if there's any games or anything she could do when you are a psychic in training. LOL.
Hannah, Summer wants to know if there's any games or anything you could do when you're a psychic in training.
We've talked about Summer, and Summer and I talk pretty frequently, and I don't really think she needs anything in training. She blows my mind sometimes.
Games. I think trivia games, if you can guess the answers to trivia questions that you know nothing about and have a success rate that's higher than chance would allow, that would be something. I think most games stimulate the mind in ways that could help, but there might be, certain amounts of games that would help more than others. Guessing games. Summer, I want you.
Guess Who? Like that Guess Who game?
Yeah, absolutely. That could help. Definitely. Look up the tensor tests online and do those. There's studies out there where you do the tensor cards, and you can actually go through there and do tensor cards over and over and over to see what kind of success rates you have. Craig, yes, I would use a Black Mirror investigation. I have used one. Not a whole lot of success. The only success I've had with a mirror is in my house, like I mentioned before, and I wouldn't recommend it unless you knew what you were doing.
Mothman has a fun fact. The reason vampires can't look at mirrors is because the old mirrors have silver in them, which would be holy metal, power of Jesus in the mirror. LOL.
Right. He's correct on that.
Anthony replied to your question.
Oh, did he send it to me?
He said, I messaged you privately. It was on our investigation. We heard it rattle once, like cha-cha. Then a pause, then twice, cha-cha.
Okay, I see it right there.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it open so I don't forget. Sorry, man. I'm a busy guy too. It's hard to remember everything.
Mothman says in The Lion King, he sees his dead father within the water of the pond standing behind him. Clear reference to Scrying right there.
Yep.
I remember that.
There's all kinds of references. I hear a lot of stories of people seeing reflections of people in the water, and when they look, they're not there. And the same goes for mirrors. So very, 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 very interesting things. But I do think that, there are times where the mind can play tricks and the eyes can play tricks on you. That's why we're all out there running around with cameras trying to capture this stuff to see if it's objectively true.
I ain't running nowhere.
It's a figure of speech. You're going to make me need another whole big thing of coffee.
Why me? Don't blame it on me.
Mothman says, traditionally, according to old Hallmark cards, Scrying is a marketed to women to see the future husband standing behind them to know who they would marry, typically on Halloween night too.
Interesting. Did not know that.
I'm telling you, if I'm ever on like Jeopardy or any kind of show like that,
it would have to be a paranormal Jeopardy.
Right, true, but I mean, Mothman would be my go-to.
He would be your lifeline.
Yeah, I'm like, can I phone a friend?
Thank God, somebody else in her contacts list that's not me.
Stop it, Justin. Be nice.
Hey, that was a compliment to Mothman, not you necessarily.
Christy said you can't have any more coffee because she just drank it all.
Oh,
there's more that can be made.
Mothman thinks he's out of the facts. Out of cool mirror facts.
He wants a line of cards called Hellmart. That's what Sam said. Hellmart.
How do you scry with tea leaves?
I have no idea, but I know that's a thing. Let's look it up. Tea.
Would wax candle wax be that too?
I don't know.
Mothman says, let's do a paranormal Jeopardy. That would be awesome.
Okay. There are numerous methods of divination that people have used since time began. One of the most iconic is the notion of reading tea leaves, also called tasseography or tasseomancy. The word is a blend of two other words that are Arabic, tassa, which means cup, and the Greek mansi, which is a suffix of indicating divination. This divination method isn't quite as ancient as some of the other popular and well-known systems, and appears to have begun around the 17th century. This was around the time when the Chinese tea trade made its way into Europe society. How to read tea leaves. How does one read tea leaves? Well, obviously you need a cup of tea to start out with. Blah, blah, blah. I'll send you this link. Was that a question? Was that a question from you, Missy, or the chat?
Supernatural.
Okay, well, I'll keep reading. And make sure you don't use a strainer, because a strainer will eliminate the tea leaves from your cup. Make sure you use a light colored teacup so you can actually see what the leaves are doing. Also use a loose leaf tea blend, and the larger the tea leaves, the more efficient your reading will be. Blends such as Darjeeling and Earl Grey typically have large leaves. Try to avoid Indian blends because they include my contacts are bad. They include not only smaller leaves, but also occasional dust, small twigs, and other bits of debris. After the tea has been consumed and all that's left in the bottom of the leaves, you should shake the cup around so the leaves settle in a pattern. In general, the easiest to swirl the cup in a circle a few times. Some readers swear by the number 3, so you don't end up with wet tea leaves everywhere. Once you've done this, look at the leaves and see if they present you with images. This is where the divination begins. So it's pretty much like grabbing a handful of bones and throwing them. You know, you read patterns that you see in the bottom of the cup of tea with the tea leaves in them. So that's pretty much how it works.
Josh said, I had a tea leaf reading once. I had to drink the tea, then flip over the cup, and then flip it over, bet, and the person reads the patterns that the tea leaves make inside the cup when it's flipped over.
I know what my tea leaf would do. It would like flip me off.
Probably.
It'd be like, or it'd be like, I don't put too much stock into that. I don't understand the mechanics of it. But that doesn't mean that it's not something that's legitimate. I just don't get it. We need people who practice those types of divination things on here to give us.
Well, Holly is not on tonight, so I'm sure Holly could give us some insight.
The devil in the cup of Mountain Dew.
Hi, Bro.
I saw the devil in the bottom of a lot of bottles of firewater. I surely did. I do it with coffee grounds in the cup. I call it Maxwell House divination. That's funny. Dude. Yep. Tea leaves are a thing. I have heard of it. I just didn't know. I knew it was pretty much reading patterns and random things. You know, and the reason I don't buy into it is there's too much subjective interpretation with that. Now, if you had some degree of success rate in those interpretations coming true and you could document it and, you know, show it, okay. But that's the reason why I don't like tarot as well. I'm not a fan of it at all. I think any card that you could pull out of a tarot deck would apply to anyone. But that's just me. I'm not always right, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I just do not like it.
You look like you're at a freaking bar.
You're like, I'm right.
I wish I was at a bar.
You're so stupid.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, but you're just like so dramatic. Like you were Shakespeare when I'm right. Sorry, it was funny.
Funny and stupid.
Um, Derek said Justin looks into a crystal ball, staring super hard. He sees a message. It says, "Your mom."
That's so hilarious.
Valerie said, Justin, you should make merch with a Maxwell divination on the t-shirt.
I'll give it a thought.
Heather Elliott said, I have Miss Cleo's tarot deck. LOL.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Gosh, Justin. You're in a mood.
A stupid one.
Oh, stop it. Here we go.
All divination is subjective and random. Randomness plus human interpretation equals divination. Shuffling tarot cards, tea leaves, dice roll, throwing bones, scanning through radio static too. For the most part, I would say that is correct. There are exceptions, and those are the anomalies that we try to isolate and try to further study. There's so much chaos, so much randomness, so much caca.
West Storm said his question was, what about palm readers? We love to get our palms read during Halloween carnivals.
Those deal with patterns too, but that is so old and so elaborate that there are actual guides to what the lines mean. Like, it's a studied practice. There's not super room for a whole lot of just personal interpretation. I've seen books of palm reading and the lines are supposed to mean things.
Yeah, the how long they are, how short they are, if they cross this one, if they cross that, yeah, right. It's a lot.
Now, of course, you can add your own interpretation in there, and that's what tarot card readers do. They add their own interpretation in there. And I'm guessing that they do that just so they don't seem like they're some boring, same as everybody else tarot card reader. That would be my guess. If you love them, if you love it, then do it. That's not always the case. If you love killing people and eating them, I wouldn't do it. Right? That's what I tell Jeffrey Dahmer. Don't do it, buddy.
Do you have a conversation with him regularly?
No, I wish. I'll be like Zach Bagans. Can I have your brain when you die? Oh, he's already dead. But if he was alive, I'd be like, dude, can I have your brain?
I just bought the Sharon Tate house for $2 million. Can I have your freezer?
That's a good point, Mothman. There could be something to that. I want to do more research in Carl Jungian patterns and see if there's any type of application that, to paranormal investigation, ITC, and other things. I would like to work with Jess and Missy with those things too. With
what?
Carl Jung patterns, archetypes. You're going to have to do some reading and research on that. What pretty much what he believed and he taught was there's these things called archetypes, and they're universal patterns that are constant in the universe and nature.
Yes, I remember you actually sent me some information about it.
Yes.
Before.
Mm-hmm.
I remember.
Whatever you want me to try. Anthony said, ask, how would you recommend someone to start doing scrying?
Pretty much like if you want to use a mirror, whatever you want to use, try to be in a quiet place where you're not going to be distracted. I would try to do it alone, so you would limit the distraction. I would gaze into it and try to allow the concentration and gazing into it to filter out what you see, what you hear, what you smell, what you feel, and try to allow your subconscious to creep in. It's almost like meditation. It pretty much is meditation. Okay? So when you meditate, a lot of people focus on their breathing. They close their eyes, they focus on their breathing. You can what you do is you gaze into the crystal ball, or you gaze into the mirror, and you're trying to see what comes to you that's not normally something that comes to you. Okay? So it's almost like you're teetering on what the imagination will surface or what the subconscious or the sixth sense will show you. It's very debatable and controversial whether it is something that is legitimate or not. I'll leave it up to you.
Steve Phillips asked, what do you think about hauntings being created by the energy and stories that are made about them? I know there have been several studies on this, the Philip experiment, etc. I am currently working on an investigation where I think this has taken place. What are your thoughts?
I believe it's possible. I've done a lot of urban legends. People, if you got your crybaby bridges and, all over the place, you got your haunted tunnels, you got, the haunted places that are prominent everywhere. Those are the types of places that get imprinted with psychokinetic beliefs, and things can manifest. I believe that that's very possible. That's why you get things from these locations. Things do physically manifest for the intent and the belief that's compounded in these areas. I believe that you can make yourself haunted. You can make places haunted with your mind. I definitely agree.
Jeffrey Funk has joined.
I don't know if I've ever seen Jeffrey.
I think there's like 4 new ones today.
That's cool. Thank you for joining us. We're about ready to wrap up. If you have a question, let us know. We're talking about scrying.
Scotty says, try using a goldfish bowl, but leave in the fish just to be extreme.
That's not that extreme. If you swallow the fish and then continue to scry, that's extreme.
Each his own, I guess.
I'm the same way, haunted. I don't.
Well, Haunted by Haunted, I am glad that we sparked at least some amount of interest. It's interesting. The history of scrying is interesting. The possibility of there being something to it is definitely interesting.
Jeffrey says, what is your thoughts on the Devil's Toy Box that uses square mirrors, all 6 sides with the mirrors facing in? Some paranormal supply sites once sold those so you can get... It's moving on me. So you can place a mic or recorder in them.
I brought that up earlier in the show. I don't believe that you can go to a location and trap a demon or a spirit in them and remove that spirit from the location with them. I'm highly skeptical about that. If you can show me proof of that, great. But Tennessee Wraith Chasers didn't show any, convince me of anything like that. So I do believe there's something to mirrors, whether it's a doorway or some type of passage. If there's some way that it taps into the psychic sense some way. And I do believe that people have psychic ability. Everyone has the potential to have a psychic ability to manifest things from other dimensions and other spirit realms into ours, and vice versa. Sometimes, maybe, a lot of times it involves mirrors. I do not know why. Yeah, Bill blows up doll heads. Babies crying. Also, Mothman. There was the crybaby tunnel legend where there's a peacock farm nearby, and peacocks can kind of sound like baby cries. There's some birds and other animals that can kind of sound like a baby cry, so you can throw that in there too as an explanation. Wildlife. I would use and test both.
Anthony asked what kind of mirror would you use, antique, Walmart special, etc. And I said any type you want. And then Heather said I would use and test both.
I agree with that 100%. Test both. You want to have a control, and you want to have a experimental group, which would be the control could be like the mirrors from Walmart, or maybe you can have people just donate you mirrors. A good control would just be a brand new mirror that's cheap, bring it in from Walmart or a dollar store. And that will be your control. And your experimental group will be old mirrors that people had reported to you that occurrences happen around them. Antique mirrors from stores, stuff like that. Goats definitely can sound like children crying. Absolutely. And he found a goat emoji. You get 10 bonus points for that.
On his Jeopardy.
He's got some goats. He's got 3 goats. Well, 4 if you count the one in this previous comment.
Valerie asked, what are your thoughts if the mirror breaks?
7 years bad luck. Nope. I could only guess. I don't really know.
Yes, Sandy, you just heard a train. There's one coming by the house now.
I heard someone come in. I don't know where it's coming from. All right. Any other questions before I wrap up this show? You guys have been awesome with the questions and interaction, by the way. I really appreciate it.
I know, it's making it Missy and I work a little bit more.
I'm trying to help.
Jeffrey Funk, might one-way mirrors act like as a one-way gate?
That's a good question. Braylon, do you want to say good night to everybody?
Oh, Bray.
Hi, Bray.
Say good night.
Good night.
Say night-night.
Night-night.
All right.
Night-night.
Go to bed. What, are you taking a bath or something with that towel? All right. He's not going to bed yet.
He's taking a bath.
3 goats. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to wrap it up. You guys have been awesome. Thanks, girls, for doing a good job as always. You guys are awesome. We definitely had some interest with this topic, and I'm glad to see that. If you have any suggestions for topics, you can message the Facebook page that you're watching this on. If you're on YouTube, you can just email me at justinbrowninterfacedeath.net, or you can go on social media and just DM me that way. Patreon supporters definitely usually vote on the topics for this show. We can talk about Patreon a little bit more here in a second, but here's the links. Definitely check out our website. If you have not subscribed to our mailing list, please do so. I do not spam you, but I do occasionally send you things. And you do get updates for all the important stuff that you don't want to miss. If you're watching on YouTube, you can follow this show on Justin Brown Paranormal Research on Facebook. You can follow Interface Death on Twitter, on Instagram, and you can check out patreon.com/supportinterfacedeath. If you like what you see, if you like all the video content and everything that we do, you can find help us financially and be rewarded for doing so. If you're watching on Facebook, please consider going over there on YouTube and subscribing to our YouTube channel. It's completely free and helps us out a lot. If you do not want to donate any money on Patreon, but you still want to donate, you can do so with PayPal, and the link's right there. And if you want to join our community on Discord, the link is also in the video description. If you're a Facebook user, you can join us at United Paranormal Society. Just go to facebook.com/United Paranormal Society and send me a join request. I will accept it. And we talk about everything paranormal, UFOs, cryptozoology, everything you think of. So I'm looking forward to seeing you there as well. Patreon.com, all the names you see before you that I'm about to read off, you can thank them. You can extend your thanks to them for bringing this content to you free of charge every week. The YouTube documentaries, everything that we do, all the live streaming equipment, just all this stuff does not come without cost. It just adds up and adds up to thousands of dollars, not to mention our time. We want to bring you the best content possible, and we just need help doing it. The more help financially we get, the better it is, right? So please thank Clay Borman, Katie Turner, RJ Murphy, Scotty Fox, Casey Schreiner, Jessica Baez, Paranormal Reporter, Anthony Grothus, Heather Elliott, Joe Vitale, the Ghost Guild, Kelly McConkey, Tony Felosi, Betty Kegley, and the Cherry Capital Shadow Seekers. Thank you very much for your support. And that's where I'm going to leave it. We got Necromancer tomorrow, or not tomorrow, but next Wednesday with what's her name? Last name's Marie. Help me out. What's her name? Brandy Marie from DPX, from Detroit Paranormal Expeditions. So we're looking forward to that on Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Don't miss that. Next week we have Necromancer, or My Paranormal Soapbox, rather. Same bat time, same bat station. You guys have a good night. If you are new to this live stream and you want to see some video promos and some ads to new documentaries and videos we get coming out, stay tuned for that. You guys have a good night. You're in my heart. We love you all very much. We'll see you next time. Do you have that drive? That morbid curiosity to explore the darkness? Do you have what it takes to brave the night? You do? Good.
I'd like to see you. What the fuck was that?
Welcome to Ground Zero. This is the talk of the talk. You know, everybody is captivated by this area. This is what I call the asylum. When I first purchased the place, it wasn't hard to know that this has been whitewashed. Everybody has their sort of the boogeyman. When you're young and growing up, be good, the boogeyman's gonna get you. Well, you wanna know what the boogeyman in Madison is? It's this place. You grew up here and you acted up in front of your parents, you get sent here. Now that sends a red flag. If this was a nice facility and everyone was being taken care of, why are you gonna send them here? Something was happening behind these walls.
This is Jason Bland, host of Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup, where we stream live as a webcast every Sunday night, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern, with guests who will blow your mind. Live ghost box sessions where you can call into the show to see if the spirits will talk to you, and the World Wide Web of Weird with the latest in paranormal news and evidence. We're bringing the weird every Sunday night, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Don't forget to follow and subscribe.
On Saturday, November 30th, take your journey into the supernatural into one of Ohio's most wicked jails. Built in 1889, the old Licking County Jail was home to its fair share of dangerous inmates, leading to 14 inmate deaths as well as 4 sheriffs. These violent deaths inevitably led to the closure of the jail in 1987. Join us for a night of history and an overnight ghost hunt you'll never forget. Your journey awaits.